Okay, we are live streamed.
All right, welcome everyone to this Milburn School District 24 Board of Education meeting, September 12th, 2022, Committee of the Whole meeting. Can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Boss?
Present.
Mr. Coleman?
Present.
Mr. Guziak?
Here.
Mr. Lorenzen?
Here.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Petterini?
Present.
Ms. Roberts?
That's perfect.
Nice timing. Please stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have any public comments? Does anyone have any additional information for discussion they'd like to add?
Based on, well, what Sean is probably going to be talking about, I was wondering if for number 6, bullet point 3, when we were going to be speaking about potentially school resource officer, is that going to be combined at all with what might go on at the fall meeting, and whether how this board would vote for downstate school districts to be able to have their own say in how they protect the schools? Is that a separate discussion, or is that tied in with this?
No, that would be a separate discussion.
Okay. So I would like to get that added to the agenda.
So discussion of the
so that's what you're talking about, Jim, is the position statements for the board and how the representative of Milburn would vote for the IASB on their position statements. Has anybody seen the position statements yet? I have not.
For this year.
I haven't either for this year, so.
It may not be on there.
Right, so my point is, maybe we should put that on our future tickler for when they come out to have a discussion, and then.
Okay. That should be pretty soon, correct?
It should be real soon, yeah. Usually it's end of September.
End of September, okay. I recall it being September.
It might, maybe it has been, but
Okay.
I know the last couple of years it's been a real tight timeline.
Oh, sure,
It
okay.
used to be earlier. and
All
now
right,
it's been real
so can we get that added to future agenda items?
close. That would be perfect.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
anybody else? All right, MOU for the mentor stipend.
Okay, so this would be discussed in closed session. If there's any questions specifically about it, I sent it out. It's been a while now. Or no, it was sent out with the board packet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if there's no questions about it, we have talked about it in the past. It's a cleanup from our last negotiations. We're not voting on it tonight, just discussion, so.
And that's in closed session.
If there's questions, we
If
would,
there's questions,
we would
okay.
push it to closed sessions. If not, we wouldn't go into closed session. But it won't be voted on tonight, either way.
PRSP of the Lake County Federation of Teachers Work Uniform, MOU.
So this is another memorandum of understanding that you have in your board packet, that if there's any questions on it, we can discuss it in closed session tonight, or if you have individual questions on it, you can always contact Carly or myself to get any clarification anytime.
All right, no questions on that. School resource officer.
Okay, so the last time we met, we talked about the possibility of a school resource officer. We introduced some information. I sent some out. Some people had other information to bring to the table. And it was decided that we would bring to this meeting whether or not we wanted to to further investigate that, or if it was a moot point and we just wanna table it for now, or table it for this year, for future years. So I'm looking for some direction from the board on what our next steps are as far as the investigation, or what I can do, provide for you to help make that decision.
Yeah, I think it'd be important to bring in a trained officer in this particular area to present to the board. I think that's critical. In doing research, what you find is there are many different figures that are presented. However, few resources that present how they arrived at those figures. There were some good resources that did disclose that, and that was very, very helpful in understanding figures behind, response times and other statistics. So I think it'd be best if a professional was brought in to present to us, and then based on what research we performed, we could ask appropriate questions at that time.
How would we select a professional?
I would go with someone that would be responsible for responding to our schools.
Yeah, they have skin in the game.
All right, so that would be either,
If they had someone trained in that area, and then if not, expand. But I do think, I would agree, they need some skin in the game.
so that would be county and or Lindenhurst.
Yeah.
So, the county has a school district liaison officer who, I don't know if he's Jake, no, do you know if Officer Foy is directly in charge of all the school resource officers?
I think so.
Yeah, he is. I remember, yeah.
Okay. So he already serves on our, emergency management planning when we meet with the officers, and he'll come in and, he doesn't do a full audit, but he is part of that team of teachers and administrators that develops the plan and looks at the plan and examines it. And I know he has been here, I don't know if he's here every year observing our, school shooter safety drills, but someone is here every year and they have to be by law, so it's usually him because that's kind of his job, so. He would be from the county, he would be one that I would recommend from the county because that's kind of pretty much his job, his responsibility. The other one would be Chief Jones, from Lindenhurst.
I think it would be best if we hear from both of them.
Yeah.
And
If we can arrange that, and we have to consider timing too, when
Yep.
they could be available to
Absolutely.
meet with us.
I can certainly talk to both.
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
And Chief Jones has experience with school resource officers.
Jake, we talked to him last week a little bit because we're talking about security for another event at school.
Yeah, and he's worked with the high school as well, and the officers that work at Lakes High School.
is Lake High School Lindenhurst or Lake Villa?
Lake
Oh,
Villa.
that was Lake Villa.
Correct.
And I've got a little bit to say about that, but before we get into that, do you recall when we had, I think it was set up in one of the schools, and we had Lake County come in after that shooting up on, what the hell road was that? That older gentleman shot one of 4 or 5 kids, and then there were a lot of people from the area that were concerned about, crime and what they should do. Do you recall what I'm talking about, by chance?
Yeah, I recall the event. I don't recall anyone visiting after that specifically. We could have.
Yeah, I think it was something, I thought it was in one of the, it was actually in one of the schools, either the middle school or here, and there was a group from the community. As a matter of fact, I may have some old texts on that. Well, anyway, I sat in on that, and most of the discussion that was presented by the county was very good and it was very informative. But depending on which way that goes, and it was, you know, my interpretation, I think I would recommend that they not be the end-all and be-all for what the decision's going to be, because they seem to have a little bit, it's hard to put into words, but it didn't seem like they were very pro self-protection. And I wonder if that's a possibility, that would fall into any discussion that they would have with us. And it's just, I just want to say that seemed to be from the 3 or 4 people from the county. It was like, well, you know, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that, everything's fine. And it's obvious that it's not. So, as we're listening to them.
Was the follow-up, you don't need to do this, but rely on trained police
Yeah,
professionals?
basically, yes.
Well, that's what, yeah, okay, so that's what really what we're
Well,
discussing, right?
right. So in the case of the county, I mean, I'm sure they said that they sometimes only have three officers on duty
Okay.
for all of Lake County. So it just seemed a little odd that the way that they were describing things and what they were suggesting that the residents do. I just want to see if people should be aware of that kind of mentality bleeding over into this discussion and just be aware of it.
Do you mean like the inference is essentially, there's not enough of us, but you shouldn't do anything either?
Well, potentially. Basically, what a couple of the residents wanted to know, and they were serious about it.
Yeah.
They wanted to know if they should be firearm owners. And the people that were representing the sheriff's office said no. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, well, let's have some reasoning behind it. And there wasn't any other reasoning other than the fact that the police will protect you. And and as I was sitting through this, I was shaking my head. So,
Thanks, I just wanted to
no,
clarify.
you know, of course. Appreciate the question. And then I said something about Lakes High School. Apparently, Lake Village just shows up there every so often. They'll just, according to my daughter, they'll just pull a car up and sit in the parking lot for a while, take a drive around. That in itself is probably a good thing. And I don't know if that happens around here. If it does, I mean, that's great.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
simply having the
I've seen
presence
them show up
there.
here before.
I'm sorry?
I've seen them show up here before, like just pull up and they just like
Okay,
sit
so
like
that,
out
this
in front
would
of
be,
school.
okay. So right there, that's a move in the right direction.
I'm surprised when I don't see them when I go over to the other school in the morning.
Well, they know how you drive.
I do get the stink eye once in a while.
Speed limit
Okay,
Gotta get around that pothole. That's why I'm about 2 minutes.
So, we want some experts coming in, from the county, maybe if there's some other agencies or, associations that have experts on this, we should definitely wanna get a couple of different side views.
And I think that would be a good time to hold the special session and discuss the intricacies, is when they're with us.
Sure.
Right.
I think that deals with.
We
They
expect
could
that to
probably
be-
answer
yeah.
a lot of questions.
Right.
That would probably be a long and bound session, so we have a special session and just have that on the agenda. Okay.
Are there any officers that are actually like, that are experts, but have actual experience in intervening and or preventing an incident? Like, is that a weird question? Like, I
Well, we
feel
should
like,
ask the police department that, we wouldn't know the answer.
yeah, but I'm saying like maybe that's something that we should be explicitly asking when we're looking for some, cause like you can be a subject matter expert with zero experience in what it is that you're discussing.
Yeah, I think we can trust the Officer Foy and Jones, I think they'll,
I don't know, I just.
I don't think they're just gonna pick a random
No, I don't,
officer to come
No.
I
present.
don't think so either, but I think that there is a huge difference between being a subject matter expert with no experience and being a subject matter
Well, we don't,
expert.
but we haven't
with-
had any school shootings in our area, how would they have experience?
I'm not, and I know that, and I'm not necessarily saying, I'm literally just asking if maybe it's not in the area, maybe it's somebody
Or like,
outside the district, like,
calling an expert from,
yes,
If
somebody
we're,
from
yeah, we're
somewhere
talking
else.
about experts, so let's look for
Someone who,
different types of experts and
Even people who have been SROs, you know, people who have been in schools
yeah,
would have a little more credibility than somebody who's just studied it.
yeah, I'm just
I
saying,
would
like, it
think,
might be
yeah.
worth asking,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Well, there is that Mr. Trump.
Yep.
But I got the impression that he was trying to sell his consulting services.
Yeah, he will do that. But
let's not get any sales.
when we talked to him, he was very against, he doesn't, that's not his goal.
Okay.
He's very against vendors selling stuff.
Okay.
And he says beware. He said beware of me. I mean, he's pretty open and honest about it, but, you know, his time is worth something as well.
Sure.
So, yeah, other school districts in our area have invited him in for an audit, a full.
Can you pick any of the brains of the people where he was already?
Sure.
At the very least, see if it was worthwhile.
Yep.
Alright, so we've got experts to come in and give us some information. Any other things that we would like the administration to prepare for us? Any other questions we want answered?
We know if there's are there any local schools that have an SRO?
Oh, yeah.
Elementary or middle schools?
Which schools are around here?
I think District 34 still does at the middle school, and they may share with the high school. I'm not sure what they did.
Okay.
I worked with an SRO at Antioch Upper Grade for 6 years.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, we shared an office.
Okay, so it's not like
It's
it's
great.
unheard of around here. It's,
No. I can't, Woodland may have, I know that, Grays Lake does not, Lake Villa does not, Emmons does not, Grass Lake does not.
okay.
how does Emmons
56
compare to
does.
us in size? Are they K through 8 too?
Yeah, they're a third,
Okay,
they're 300.
okay. And Grays Lake is bigger than us, right?
Yep, and they do not have it.
They do not, okay.
And Lake Villa does not have it, elementary, at this time.
Okay, yeah, 'cause they have several elementaries, right? No, just BJ
Yeah,
Hooper?
they have Hooper, Martin, and Thompson,
Yeah, okay.
and then a middle school, Columbia. And they're about 2,500 kids, 2,400 kids.
Yeah, bigger system.
Anything else? We certainly would like a breakdown of, we heard the expense, but how would that affect our budget? We had one or two, what would happen, how would we pay for it, would we have to make any cuts?
Is there any grants that we could?
Have the grants, yeah,
cover that?
so. Jim's favorite question, do we have the money to pay for it?
Great question.
Or will we?
Or will we?
Yes, we might now.
Over time. Because we're not doing it for 1 year either, so. All right. We feel comfortable on this one?
I think we have a good plan, yeah.
Think about the date you want to do this, when are you gonna be free?
Well, it's kind of up to the officers too, right, what they're,
Yeah. District goals.
Okay, we've talked about superintendent district goals a little bit, so I wanted to show you, I do have access to our evaluation system. So I put a couple of goals in, and let me put this up on the other screen as well. So here's one goal. All students will show growth on NWEA in reading and math. The district conditional growth index will increase from 52.75 to 55.6 in math and 41.5. Oh, I got an extra point in there. To 46.6 in reading. So generally what that goal is talking about is our academic growth. And one of the goals has to be about academics for me. It doesn't have to be in this particular form, but this is a good one. And if you click on here, there's examples of other goals that they've put in just as to get things rolling. So when you talk about maybe the superintendent has a goal or the district has a goal of facilities consolidation because that's number one on their priority for that year, or in the past we've had grade level consolidations or grade level configuration changes, or we've had new buildings opening, that would be big in the superintendent's goals. Maybe you want to see increased visibility by your superintendent, so you'd have a visibility goal. Student performance targets, that's the one that I've got up there for number one. Is if you're okay with that, we can talk about that. Teacher performance, literacy, this is another goal that's very similar. Actually, this teacher to student target would be the same thing as what's written for academics. Because if you increase their percentages, they are going to increase their targets, meeting their targets. So, or volunteer, multimedia integration, digital presence, quality, grounds, and maintenance evaluation. So all of those are examples of superintendent goals that have been used across the state. Just as an idea. So this one's student achievement, and it's here. I'll go to building connections, and then I'll take any questions. So our goal also this year is building connections in the buildings and across the district. As an administrative team, we've gotten feedback from parents, and we've gotten feedback from students. We've gotten feedback from teachers about we need to build connections within our district. We need to feel like we belong and get people back interacting with each other and create these opportunities. As a district, we can't force that, but we can certainly create some opportunities, like last Friday night with Epic, and Epic is a partner in part of that. And we're creating for parents this Friday night an opportunity for people just to hang out and connect. We're getting parents back into the building tomorrow night with our back to school night or curriculum night. Those are all opportunities that would fall under building connections. In addition, within our staff really wants to feel connected to the school and involved and engaged, and that's important. So we're building connections across our school district. So we're taking some time in staff development time to interact as families. We have Milburn families that we've created, about 7 or 8 people that are going to be meeting at different times throughout the years and doing either fun activities together or maybe some thinking, brainstorming together as well, but just so people know each other across the district. So bus drivers know who teachers are and can appreciate what they
I loved introducing the bus drivers. That was awesome. That's really, really cool. It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat. So those are the kinds of things we're going, how can we connect together? Because we don't want to be silos of, this is the business office, and this is curriculum over here, and this is transportation over here. We want to all feel like we're part of what's happening every day. And that's important. So that's where we were going with that. And parent focus groups and parents getting them back in the building and connected with each other, I think is going to be very important. Goal 3 was also about building connections. Focused on cultural competency. So we've done this course in the past where I've led a course with teachers on building cultural capacity because we have to understand our own culture in order to help people feel like they belong. It's about understanding our own culture. It's about understanding others' cultures and what are some of the ways that we can interact better with each other. And that's called cultural competency. And so there's something I use called the IDI, Intercultural Developmental Inventory, that we can use with people to kind of get them the juices flowing on that. And I don't think anybody was on the board when we did that last time. Were you, Brendan? And Jim, maybe? I don't know.
We had that professor come in from Carthage.
Yeah. So the board did it as a group, and then with the administration, and then we've done that with small groups of teachers.
Is this different than what Maggie had presented that one time? 4 years ago? Okay. Now I remember. And I think she was able to find someone from Carthage. Was that what it was?
Maybe.
I
Maybe
think
she gave
that's
you the
what
name.
I think that's what the connection was, because she had done something.
Yep.
And then I think after that there was, okay.
Yep.
It's probably 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
Right.
We could do another, if you guys are interested.
Let's see if Maggie's available.
I don't think she likes this anymore.
Oh, she likes you fine.
I never said anything to her, I don't know.
So building connections, those are the 3 goals that I have now. Those can change. That's up to you. I can continue going down this path and then flesh out. So these are the goals now. How are we going to meet them? So the how and the how, and keep asking how and keep asking how. That's where we flesh out our strategies for meeting that, and those turn into the school improvement plans.
And you maybe talked about, I don't know, what we were thinking of as goal about increasing some of the enrichment, like after school opportunities, thinking about connections between kids.
So that could fall under the how of the
Yeah,
connections.
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's part of our strategic plan, more opportunities for
Yeah.
kids specifically at the elementary building,
Mm-hmm.
which has been
Which
really
is hard,
tough.
but yeah,
So,
but a goal.
But, yeah, let's look at that.
So then you add that, this software then is gonna connect those actionable things to those, okay.
Yep.
That's all I got a thing for, making a login, so I have to try to do that.
I think you need another goal.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
Oh,
I
I thought you were
mean,
joking.
one is for students, one is dealing with parents, one is dealing with staff. I just kind of see needs to be one for dealing with, I don't want to say the organization or the building. You know, it kind of goes with what Vanessa was writing about 4.70 is dealing with policies that help run the building.
Yeah.
If that
Yeah, there's a word that I'm looking for that I think,
You thinking along the sustainability lines?
say that, well, something that deals with,
like, using money well, using resources well.
yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I see one for the students, I see one for the parents, I see one for the staff. Maybe something for the stuff might be.
Stewardship?
Yeah, something like that.
But these are kind of pulled from the district vision and mission.
Mhm.
So I don't know if we have anything really kind of in there that would hide that, but, I mean, I like the idea, but I don't know if there was, we can probably figure this
My eyesight is that bad.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. I'll make it a little bigger.
So, I mean, yeah, it's a good idea, but I don't wanna toss stuff on him that is not really part of his direction that he was given by the
But I mean, we're trying to implement those as policies, and they're in the policy manual, so it should be something that he is managing and watching out for.
I do like the word stewardship, Kathy, that you used. I think that's a good broad term that can be used monetarily, resources, human resources. I think that was good.
At this point, do these need to be measurable? That's what it seemed, it seems like we have statements out there as to,
Well, the data for the student growth is measurable.
okay,
The system, so he will be able to present to us his system for communicating with the parents. He will be able to show us the courses for cultural competency that he was able to do. So we can measure those. And then if we have a stewardship one tacked on, I'm sure he can.
okay, so this is
Well,
the
that's a good point.
evaluation. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes,
No,
this is for the
This is
evaluation.
the evaluation, so the
For-
evaluation will be measured against, or will be compared to goals, and those goals will have the measurements in them. So in other words,
You can have deliverables associated with the goal. So one could be
Okay.
demonstrate financial stewardship in planning for the next 2 years or 3 years. One of those deliverables could be documenting the projected, as Carly does, document the projected financial position of the school for the next 2-3 years, right? Then document impact of paying off the bond and potential, and demonstrate potential proposed, requirements for additional funds.
so in other words,
So
there'll be boxes to check off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I
As
think
opposed
is,
to just the evaluation. We did this, we did this, you did that, and there's things in there that, goals.
so it'll be,
you know.
yeah, associated deliverables with the goals.
Yeah.
So the goal could simply be a statement, demonstrate financial stewardship for.
So this is right. The second part of the evaluation piece, in here you've got all these standards that are aligned to, so once the goals are achieved, you can choose which standards you want that you're gonna be looking at to measure. You don't have to measure every single one and click them off, cause that's a little bit overwhelming.
Okay.
But in there's operations, resource, and personnel management. These are the things that I have to do to be effective. You gotta do all of it. So you could focus on and say, okay, these are your goals, and we're gonna focus on those bigger 3 goals or 4 goals if you have wanna put another goal in. But you're also gonna be evaluating me on, do I do this other piece?
And I think, like, to Jim's point, there's areas where you upload artifacts,
And
like here's
here's where they're
the thing I
attached.
did,
Yep,
attached in a spreadsheet or whatever.
and it'll say standard 3,
Yeah.
boom, standard 3A, standard 3, so. Just to quickly review the standards is vision, culture, and instructional leadership. Operations, resource, and personnel management, that's what we're kinda talking about with the budget and the facilities. board governance and policy. Communication and community relations. So anytime I put like communication out to the public, I can just attach it there, and then you guys at the end of the year go, oh yeah, he did that or he didn't. Or
Did that,
we'd like to see more.
reached out.
Next year, communications is gonna be my goal. Cause it was terrible. Ethical leadership. That's it. It's just
Okay,
five.
that last one was a good example. How are you gonna measure ethical leadership?
Demonstrates ethical and professional behavior, inspiring others to higher levels of performance. Noteworthy evidence and data demonstrates the superintendent's performance maintains effective results in good relations with students, staff, community members, and satisfactory program outcomes. The board should cite specific data or evidence that support this rating.
That's
So,
on us.
So, okay.
ooh, right, but I would
That's on us.
help you with that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Clearly, and say, well,
Could be
this
retention rate.
hits 5-1, and it's on a rubric, so
Okay.
there's,
Mm.
they have it laid out in the other section where I will rate myself, then you will rate, and then we compare and say.
Yeah, it just seems like, for that example, if you had two things, it doesn't have to be everything that you do. I don't think that this is what the goal is for something like this.
Right,
It would seem like if you had specified, well, I'm gonna try to do these two things inside of this year in order to do this ethics thing. And either you hit them or you didn't, and more than likely you're gonna hit them, and then you've got a real, the real thread between the two. This is the ethics, this is what, you said that, you were going to do, and you did them. As opposed to going out and having to, figure out, the board having to figure out with you, well, did you do it or didn't you, what did you do? If you know ahead of time, just, it seems like it would be easier, just say, this is what my plan is, and you're gonna work the plan, and either you got it done or you didn't.
And you might find that a lot of one bit of evidence may check off more than one box, right?
Oh, yeah,
So if
potentially,
he's,
sure.
yeah, if he's communicating with the district, with families, that's gonna be professional relationship with parents, that's gonna be outreach, that's gonna be, multiple things,
So
so.
I don't wanna give the impression, or maybe I am, that this is gonna be harder to do, but I think it would end up being easier. You say that this is what I'm going to do in
Mhm.
each of these categories, and you would say, hold me to it. Chances are you're gonna hit them all, but at least there's something that we can look at and say, hey, okay, he said that he was gonna do this for the, again, I can't see that well, but, for the ethics thing, right? And you hit, these 2 or 3 things, and if there's more, I mean, that's great, but if you hit those, then it's practically a slam dunk.
okay.
Again, just opinion. And it's kind of the way again, trying to make it easier as opposed to harder.
Right. I think going through this tool is gonna help us do that,
Okay.
I think. I haven't gotten completely through it yet, our administrative training's on Thursday, and then I'll have a better idea,
Okay.
and then the board. We'll schedule a night for the board to do it. It's not hard,
It's just time.
it's just time.
And we have to remember the ultimate reason we're doing this is to make sure we're all on the same page and he's doing what we want him to do, rather than waiting until he's screwing up and we go, we didn't want you to do that.
Not only that, we want him to get credit for what he
And we
did,
do
and we
want him
wanna
to
be
get
able to, and we wanna be able to make that easy. We wanna be able to say, okay, he said he was gonna do it, he did it.
And when,
Other
it
time.
comes around to renewing the contract, we'll have good evidence to say he's been doing a good job and all of this other stuff. So if he should definitely give us his plan beforehand, and then we'll evaluate it at the end. And he'll probably even share information through the year, because I think part of it is regularly sharing, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's so overwhelming to do all at one, I mean, there's a lot here,
Yeah.
so the updates have to be. But there's for certain, we should have a January midpoint check. Where a significant amount is done, and to say, okay, how are we doing, or do we need to change course?
Don't we also have to start for them? Did someone recommend starting for next year's in January? Yeah,
Yeah, I think
The
so.
goal part.
the
Right.
goal part, yeah.
Can I
Which should
just
be-
throw out one thing too, from my
Yeah.
experience with software like this and goals? I think it's good, Jim, to have some specifics. It's also possible that you can have your I'm sorry, I'm still not
It's
knowing 100%, specifics laid out.
Mhm.
Where something will come up in the year where you had every intention of working on a goal and getting to it, and it won't happen, but Jason could do something else that does meet, those goals. So you have to have that flexibility of being able to
Sure.
kind of modify the detailed goals within a goal.
It's happened in my world
Right.
all the time. That's why pencils have erasers, but again, at least you know what you're shooting for.
Right.
And, if you were working on something and it blew up, it wasn't possible, I don't know. Let's just assume the state did something, because that's usually gonna be the case. So, okay, so couldn't achieve that goal, so either replace it or knock it off the list, that's all.
sounds good.
Close to 6 feet away.
Okay.
And there is a goal for being responsible stewards. It actually says, responsible stewards of our resources to ensure decisions are aligned to our strategic plan.
Perfect.
It can't go.
Boom! I'm not crazy.
All right,
I
budget
don't know
question.
if we can go that far.
Is that you
So-
or?
Nope,
Okay.
oh yeah, me, sure. No, we have, the board at the last August meeting approved the posting of our proposed budget for this year to the public. We had a public hearing and did that. And now at our next meeting, we have do we have to have a hearing before the next meeting? Is there a budget hearing, or is it just? I think the hearing is, I can't remember the process. It's hard to keep all the hearings.
It will be a public budget hearing.
There will be a public budget hearing. So there'll be an additional public budget hearing prior to our regular meeting, so if there's any public that wants to comment on our budget, they can. And if any public wants to view our budget now, they can come into the office and view it. It's also, should be posted online. It's online, it's on our website. So, it's out there. If anybody has any comments on it, they can. So my question tonight was just if the board has any questions, you don't have to ask now if you haven't reviewed it, but if you review it during the week and have questions, feel free to reach out to Carly or reach out to me, and I'd be happy to point you in a direction to find that. We'll find it for you, the information you need.
Just a general question. Has anything changed since we last reviewed? That's material. Anything that's a material change?
The only, material changes, we've added one, new special ed student. So their, tuition will probably be around $40,000 or so. So that's in that Fund 10, so that's gonna knock that Fund 10, if you remember, there was the one table that I showed that was Funds 10, 20, 40, and 70. So that Fund 10 had,
75,000 surplus
Yeah.
or so.
somewhere around there.
It's gonna be tight.
Like 94,000, so that's gonna go down probably about 50,000.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
in special education, as Carly pointed out in her presentation last time, is one of those things we can't predict. We can't
Right.
predict which children will move into our district and what needs they might have, and which children move out of our district and needs they have that leave us. So that's something that can blow a budget with one or two students.
Yeah.
And we just have to be aware of that. It's okay. It
It's
happens.
based on assumptions,
Right.
right, at a particular time. That's all.
Exactly.
Yep.
That would probably be the only question I would have throughout the process is that have there been any assumptions that have been altered materially?
That's a good
That's
question. Right.
Right.
Are we off in our sub, what we're guessing for subs, or are we off guessing for our, energy costs? There's not a whole lot in our budget that's gonna
Is
change
that subject
too
to
much.
change,
It's
right?
not.
The variables, yeah.
Yeah. Subs is one that can change. Students, special education costs are another one. It's pretty big. Energy costs, of course, gas going up.
And the insurance costs, they're already settled,
Right.
significantly increased, but that was already built in.
You know what that is for the year.
For
Yeah.
this year, for next
Right.
year.
Yeah, right.
That's next year's problem.
We'll worry about that next year.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, good.
Thank you. Future agenda items, more board policies, district goals update, staffing, position statements, update on the director district succession. Anybody wanna add anything else?
Just the one that I added earlier.
Yeah, the position statements.
Oh.
All right, superintendent's report.
Okay. Interestingly enough, I don't know who said it, did you say, Jim, about the state changing things?
Of course.
Of course, this one's not gonna cost us any money. Just
Wow.
headache. They're changing the school report card and how they calculate who's a good school and who's been a bad school. So, the formula for rating schools apparently has been changed. I just found out about this late last week, so, I'm gonna be learning about it as much as I can before the new school report card comes out, so that we know what's gonna be on it and we can explain it to people. So that'll be a challenge. I just wanna give the board a heads up that it could change. Well, it has changed. I just don't know how it's changed and how they calculate our designation, so.
Didn't that happen before, recently?
No, it's been, 6 years or so. But the last 2 years it hasn't counted, so we haven't
Yeah, right.
focused on it.
Okay. Swell.
And I haven't seen, they don't have the 22, results out for, state testing yet either, so.
Besides ranking the schools, what else is it used for?
That's it.
That's it? It's not tied to like funding or any of that stuff, okay?
Doesn't impact funding, it just impacts, what realtors can put on their
Okay.
advertising for selling a house, which is important. Fall sports season is up and running. Cross country had a couple meets last week. One of the meets, our girls came in 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you understand cross country, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So the girls kicked butt in that particular, and that was a big meet too at the high school. So proud of them. Soccer, I don't know how they're doing. Soccer struggles a little bit because a lot of our best soccer players play club sports and they're spread around, and some play cross or go run cross country. There's a lot of pressure on some kids on what they can do. So, but it's been great. Volleyball started today, their first meet. I know her games, and I know the girls, 8th grade girls won. I'm pretty sure the 7th grade girls would have won tonight. But they're doing well, having fun. 24-hour challenge is not this Friday, but the next Friday. That's going to be held at the middle school. If you have a middle school student, you probably know a lot about it. If you've had a middle school student, you remember what that's like, and it's a lot of fun. Should be great. We are enhancing our safety protocols for this time. Try and make it as safely as we can with kids there, so we will be looking at that. No top specifics at the moment, but know that we are enhancing our safety protocols and have communicated with the village of Lyndhurst about that. Curriculum night at the elementary school is tomorrow night. Our early childhood through second grade curriculum night, and third through fifth would be Friday, or Thursday, I believe. I'm thinking. And Jake, when is yours?
Tuesday. Next week.
Next Tuesday.
The 20th.
So Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday. By grade level, ramping up. Okay. There we go. It's a busy week, there's a lot going on. That's it. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. Keep yourself busy, keep that covered.
Right.
Business office report.
Okay, this will be the shortest business office report ever. I've been out of pocket for the last couple of weeks a little bit. We did have a theft here at the elementary school. Our Ford F-250 had its catalytic converter stolen in the middle of the night.
Is that the new one?
Yeah. So we met with the Lake County Sheriff, and we are implementing the feedback that he provided. I'm sure that this will go against insurance to have it put in. We're waiting to get the estimate from the dealership for the repair. And then our audit starts next week. Brendan and Sean, I know that you volunteered to meet with the auditor. Has she contacted you yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It was supposed to be this week, right, that we'd be contacted? No, I haven't.
I think that they're so busy with the audits they're doing, from organization to organization, they're very focused on that. I'll follow up with them and just make sure they're gonna reach out this week. If not, it would be next
Do we
week.
know where they'd be calling from? Just so that I answer. Get a lot of
I think
calls, but I let them go to voicemail, and if the person wasn't comfortable leaving it.
Don't wanna extend your car
That
warranty?
would be the only explanation for not having the calls, was it?
You said you don't wanna extend your car warranty insurance?
I don't have, I can't, ever since I gave my social
God, that's
security
great.
number to that prince in exile.
I believe it's, I wanna say McHenry for some reason.
Okay. That's okay, but Illinois.
It is
okay.
Illinois,
Yeah.
Yeah, no big, you don't have to get detailed.
and they
Okay,
could very well just be on their cell phone.
yeah, okay,
Working here and there.
okay,
Again, it should not take more than 10 or 15 minutes.
okay, no worries.
Let's see here. I know that Dr. Lynn provided an update on the estimate that we received from the Lake County assessment officer with our current estimated valuation. So the good news is it looks like there's about 2.58 million in new construction. This is probably from the Briargate community. I'm also thinking it may be also part from the dollar store maybe.
Oh.
It seems a little bit newer and like a hopping area in Lindenhurst. So that's good, but that's not for this year. That is for next year. And then like we talked with the budget, is we're really getting down to the wire here. The final budget's due at the end of September, like it is every year. And we get these final bits of information, whether it's the true general state aid amount we're getting or final special ed students coming into the district. So as those things come in, I'm plugging them in. If anything big does pop up between what we reviewed last time and what we will review in a couple weeks, I'll break that out in a visual to show you the difference between the amounts. And that is all I
Strip
had.
mall where the dollar store is, didn't they like challenge their tax because they were empty last year?
Yeah, I don't know if they did it last year, or a couple of, I don't know if that strip mall did, but the strip mall over on 41 has done that in the past.
I think the strip mall in Lindenhurst did when nothing was in that building, really.
Right.
It's nice to get some tax.
Yeah, and I don't know for certain what difference that makes, because the way the equalized assessed value works, it doesn't matter what's in the building, we're assessed just on the building itself and the value of that building. So if they sold that building, what would it sell for? You know, it helps. If those buildings are full, that's good for everybody, because you don't want vacant property. But as far as the school district's value, it has very minimal impact whether it's full or not, other than you don't want it to go empty too long and go become a decrepit. And you want expansion, we want more of those buildings.
More Dollar Trees.
More Dollar Tree, well, anything. Anything.
That fitness place again.
Lake
I miss
Forest
that place,
Fitness.
man, I like that.
Why didn't you purchase it?
Should
and
have.
Open up a new fitness planet.
That Lake Forest one was nice.
I was gonna, and nobody would lend me any money. I don't know why. All right, enough foolishness. Board reports?
Well, I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't wanna tax your voice anymore, but what happened with that catalytic converter? And where was the truck parked, and
The truck was parked in the front under a light,
at which campus?
here at the elementary building.
Out in front here. Okay.
That's a popular theft item.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know, and so that was gonna be my next question. Can they get one for us? Because
Yeah,
I mean,
so that it's going to take about 2 to 3 weeks.
yeah.
Yep.
Was that even on camera?
Yes, but, so there were 2 people, but you couldn't really see
Couldn't make
faces or
anything.
anything, no license plate numbers,
Yeah.
anything like that. And ironically, the officer told an interesting story the week before in Lake Bluff at the Walgreens there. Someone stole a catalytic converter at 3:30 in the afternoon as patrons were walking in and out of the store.
That's
So
ridiculous.
it's a quick job, in and out.
Wow.
It's not your truck.
Yeah, you just
Angle grinder.
probably take a sawzall to
Mhm,
it, or
yeah.
a grinder.
Lowriders.
Wow.
Much better.
Swell.
It sucks. But we're implementing
Right.
suggestions from the police. Hopefully, it will never happen again. All right. We good? I think we did. Do we have any board reports?
Oh, I went to the CEDAL, board meeting, and it's funny going through the same things that we're going through. The one really cool thing that they have a new playground that's this super adaptive sensory experience. It looked really awesome. They were really excited for it, and they're working on getting their staffing back up and feeling positive about those things. So it sounded like they were just moving in the right direction. So that was nice.
Awesome. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?